Okay, hey guys, what's up? So I have promised this a couple times, and now I'm going to deliver that we are going to work on having um, a video here, so you guys always can be able to. I don't know why this is staying late. Oh, it's freezing. That's fine. All right, so I want you guys to be able to always be able to come back and take a look at this. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little practice sketch on the ramp. And then, if time permits, we will work on the other one as well. Okay, so this is what I want us to do. Okay, we are going to begin working on this. All right, so remember, you always got to have your pencil and your ruler. Okay, um, let's fix this up. Okay, so let's take a look at this first object. Right, so the first thing that we want to do is that we want to come up with a step or a procedure for us to always do it the same way every time, right? If you guys know, if you've been in class, you know I like to do procedures because that way I don't make mistakes and I don't forget to do things. So we have a 4-step procedure. So our first step is we're going to construct our box, which we're going to do here right now. All right. So what do we have to do when we construct our box, right? Is we have to look at all of the dimensions, right? Full height, full width, and the full depth. So if we're looking at our little ramp here, it's a little hard to see, I know. But if you look, it is 6 units wide, 3 units tall, and 1.5 units deep. Okay. So so I'm going to put height, width, and depth. So the height is 3, the width is 6, and the depth is 1.5. Well, for purposes here, so it's easier for you guys to see, I'm going to double everything. So I'm going to do 6, 12, and 3. All right, see that? Okay, so I'm going to pick a point where I'm going to start at, and because I've done this enough, I kind of know where I need to start when things are big. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Now I need to go up 6 from each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So now I've got the front part of my box done. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to make light construction lines, right? Because I don't want them to be mistaken for object lines in a few minutes once I start drawing my object lines. All right. So let's do this. All right. So here we go. Look at that. Boom. Just like that. Now, what's my depth? My depth is going to be 3. So I'm going to come to each one of these points. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to do, again, I'm going to draw my light construction lines in order to have a good shape for my box. Okay. All right. Those aren't the best straight construction lines, but again, they're guides, so it'll help. All right. So see, boom, there we go. All right. So we got it. Now we come to our second point, right? Our second step is that we plot points. Okay. What does that mean? Well, it means we look at each face, and by each face, I mean here's a face, here's a face, and here's a face. And they notice they coincide with our object. So we want to say if this was in a perfectly fit glass box, where would it touch that face? So I always like to start in the same place because when I do that, I give myself less opportunity to make a mistake, right? So here, there we go. Let's make that a little bit bigger. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so there we go. All right, so I always start in the lower left-hand corner down here because if I do the same way every time, I have a less chance of making a mistake. So because it's the full width and it's the full length, right there, 100%, I will put my first point. Now I'm going to go from that point and I'm going to follow along from there. Well, this object is the full height. So I'm going to go up here, I'm going to plot another point, and then I can bring my ruler over and I can draw a nice dark object line because it's the full height, correct? All right. So my construction lines are a little darker than I'd like, but I do that so you guys can see it better. Okay. Now let's go back to the same point. Now, if you look, this object is also the full width, right? It's the full 6 units. So it's the full width along the bottom, right? So what do I know I can do here? Let's see if I can't get the object in a little bit better of a view. There it is. Maybe one more. Sorry, guys. Probably should have set this up better. There you go. So I know that it's what? It's the full 6. So I can plot the point up there. And I can also draw another what? Dark object line. All right, see that? Now, I also see that it goes along the top here, right? I'm looking at this edge right here, not the top, the front edge here. And it's 1, 2, 3 units. Well, I doubled mine, so it's going to be 6 for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I can make a mark there, and then I can make another object line. Now, this is where it gets a little confusing, right? Because if you notice here, there's this little ramp, right? This little ramp's right here. So I can try to draw that ramp, or watch what I can do. I come back down here and I look at this point right here, and this is 1.5 tall. Well, if it's doubled, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 tall. And then I'm going to come here, and what I can make that. Now, that ramp, if you notice, it connects what? This point to this point, right? And so if I do that, then all I have to do is come to these points and connect them, right? Just like that. Boom. Okay, so now I'm done on this face, or this face. So now I'm going to move to the top, because that's just where I like to go. You could move to the front side as well, right? The front side, but I like to go to the top. So what do I see here? It's 1, 2, 3 units. See, I already have it marked here, right? And what I see from these points here and here, which I've already marked, they go the full depth. So I know I can come here, I can draw a point here, and I can draw a point here, and I can connect these and make object lines. So a reminder, our object lines do what? They show us the shape of the object. And then I can also connect these, because that's how it works as well, right? Everybody see that? All right, great. Now, I'm kind of done on the top for now, right? So I'm going to move to the front side. So if you look at the front side, where is it? It is the full depth, and it matches the height up here. So it's going to be the full depth and 1.5. So I can make this mark here, and I can make the full depth, right? So I plot my point, right? Oop, I forgot my next step. After I plot my points, I need to connect my points, right? Okay, so now I'm doing that. And then I can do a 1, 2, 3, right? Because that's, remember, I doubled, okay? So I draw it up there, and then I can also draw right here, because it's the full depth. Now, just like before with that ramp, I connect these to make my angle, and look at that, I've got my shape. Now I have one more step, that's step 4, and I need to shade, okay? So I pick a light source. I personally always tend to put my light source up here in this corner, right? So I'm going to draw a pencil light source in my writing, right? Hopefully it won't mess it up too much. And the light's going to shine this way. So if the light's shining this way, right, all this is going to be all of this is going to block this part. So this part's going to be very dark, right? So we're going to shade. Now for texture purposes, you can shade all in the same direction. It looks a little bit better. I'm also trying to cut time because I don't have a fancy camera crew who can just do a time lapse, okay? All right, so there we go, right? Boom, done. Now, the light's coming this way, it's going to hit here, and that's going to be bright, right? The light's going to hit directly on it. But this side is going to see a little bit of light. It's going to see more light than here, but not as much light in here. So this is going to need to be shaded. Not as dark as this, but it's going to need to be shaded, right? It's going to be a different tone. Or, that's why we use the term tonal shading, right? Because there's different tones that it's going to be shaded depending on how much light that area gets, all right? So I'm going to try to do this semi-neat and semi-quick. Unfortunately for me, It really tends to be one or the other. I can either do it quick or I can do it neat. Don't really do a good job of doing both. All right, so let's take a look, right? Look at that. I'm going to break the rule and I'm going to go in two different directions only because I'm trying to be fast. All right, I'm sure you guys don't want to sit here and watch me color. Right, figuring my coloring skills aren't good. All right, everybody see that? All right, oh yeah, that's the stuff, right? Okay, so now it's done. Now, there's one other area. If you notice, this is kind of at a downward angle. And so if the light comes, it's not going to quite hit this like it hits this, but this is also isn't going to be dark as either one of these. So I want to put a little bit of shade in it, not a ton, just a little bit, right? So I know that there is a shadow here, but it doesn't need a lot of shadow. And so now I am finished, right? That is your first attempt and try at isometric sketching. So if you ever have a problem, you can always refer back to this. Okay, follow our steps. Okay, remember what we did, but you always use your glass box. All right, thanks, guys.